Hi there, I'm Christine Dunbar from SpeechModification.com, and this is my Smart American Accent training. We're doing 30 days of live videos, the 30-day accent challenge, and you've made it to day 11. And today we're going to be continuing to talk about consonants. We've talked about consonants for the last 2 days. We looked at placement of consonants and manner, and today we're going to talk about voicing. So we covered this briefly on day 4 when we were talking about word endings and some of the accent pattern errors that you may have in your accent on the ends of words. So let me just go back one step and tell you a little bit about consonants and how we make speech consonants and other sounds. So in order to make a consonant sound, we have air that's flowing. So we're breathing in and using air flowing out through our mouth to make sounds. We manipulate the air with our mouth, and we do that in a couple of different ways. One, where we're creating the sound makes a difference. That's what placement is, and we talked about that on day 9. You can view that video in my 30-day challenge playlist, and you can see materials for that on my website, speechmodification.com, to practice with placement. Examples, a bilabial placement means both lips are being used, and an example of a bilabial would be p or m. We have alveolar placement, that's where the tongue is behind the teeth, and some of them tap up to the roof of the mouth, so an alveolar sound would be a T sound, t, or a D sound, d. And then we also have what's called manner. So I can be making sounds in different places in my mouth and also doing different things in those places. So one type of manner of speech, manner of consonant, is a stopped consonant. So I stop the air and then release it, like P. P. I have to stop the air and then it releases in a burst. Or a fricative sound where I'm creating noise. So I'm bringing my articulators close together to make a noisy sound, like as in f and s and zh. So those are a couple of different manners of speech. So we have the place, we have the manner, and then lastly we have the voicing. And so when I'm running the air up into my mouth, I can either have my vocal folds vibrating, that's for a voiced sound, or they can be not vibrating, and that's for a voiceless sound. Most of the sounds in English are voiced. Vowels are voiced. I can't really say ah or e without my voice on. And many of the consonants are also voiced. When we have a consonant sound, the place and the manner can stay the same and the voicing can change. So we talked about this when we talked about S and Z. If I say the sound for S, it's an alveolar sound, it's a fricative. I'm making noisy air and my tongue is behind my teeth. The S sound is voiceless. I'm not using my voice to make that sound. To make the Z sound, I don't have to change the place. Say it's still behind my teeth. Z. I don't have to change the manner, still noisy. Z. Everything in my articulator stays the same. The only difference is that I'm using my voice. Z. So you can feel that if you touch your throat, you can feel the vibrations of your vocal folds. Try it with S and Z. Try S, S and Z, Z. So I can feel that difference. Other voice sounds and voiceless pairs, bilabial stops, P, P, and B, B, B. B is voiced. T and D, T, T, and D, D. F and V, SH and J, sh and J, or ch and j. You can find all of these pairs of consonants on my website, speechmodification.com. I'll put the link there for you. It can be useful to know what consonant sounds go together, because frequently what happens, a frequent error of voicing, is that you will use a voiceless sound when you should have used a voiced sound. This happens mostly at the ends of words, sometimes in other places too. Spanish speakers tend to always use an S sound, a devoiced Z. When they should be saying a Z, they'll say an S. For example, instead of zero, it might sound more like cero. That's because they don't have the Z sound in Spanish. All of their Z's and S's say S. For most other languages, where you mostly need to pay attention to this is in the middle and ends of words, although it can happen sometimes as well at the beginning of words. So, for example, the J sound, J, is a voiced sound, and people will say sometimes a CH sound instead. So rather than saying judge or edge, it might sound like chudge or etch. Other voicing errors, you might, at the ends of words like had might sound more like hat, or was might sound more like was. So you'll be using that voiceless sound when you should be using the voiced sound. How can you correct this error? What can you do to make sure that you're using voiced sounds at the ends of words? First of all, I have some videos detailing different sounds, sound patterns like S for Z, T for D. You can work on those individual sounds. But in general, when you're working on having the voice sound at the end of the word, there's a couple things I recommend. One is practicing those words, practicing linking your voiced sound to the next word. So that would be practicing two-word phrases. For example, if the final D is hard for you to say in words like had or did, try saying had it, did it. You're more likely to be able to use your voice because we tend to link those two words, and that D jumps on to the next word. It sounds almost like had it. It's almost like the D is at the beginning of it. And for most people, they don't devoice sounds when they're at the beginning, so if you link it, your voicing will be there. We keep our voice on between the vowels, had it. And it's harder to say hat it than it is to say had it, or did it. You can find those words and practice for linking on my website as well. If you have trouble with the final Z sound, same thing. Try the linking. Try was it, is it. That's easier than saying was or is with a voiced Z sound. On the V sound, you can try it with words like have. Have it is easier to say than have. Give it is easier to say than give. Any of those patterns that you're practicing on for the final consonants, try linking two words. Another tip I'll give you for getting your voice consonants at the ends of words is lengthening your vowel before the voice consonant. We do this naturally in English, so that if there's a voiceless sound at the end of the word, our vowel tends to be shorter. If there's a voice sound, our vowel tends to be longer. For example, in the words bet and bed, the only difference between those two words is that one ends with the voiceless T and the other ends with the voiced D. And you'll notice as I'm saying those words, I tend to lengthen on the second vowel for bed. So try that pair with me. Bet, short vowel, bed, longer vowel. One more time. Bet, bed. Let's try that for F and V. Half, have. I'm lengthening the second vowel. Let's try that for K and G. Pick, pig. How about for S and Z? Peace, peas. And when I'm saying S and Z, I'm talking about the sounds S and Z. Those are actually not spelled with S and Z. Very frequently, S at the end of the word needs to be a Z sound. You can find out more about that on Day 4's practice material and in Day 4's video. That's a very important accent pattern for many different languages. So go ahead and go to the website. You can practice for these voiced sounds, learn more about voicing, learn more about consonants and how voicing affects your accent. Also join me tomorrow for Day 12 of our 30-day challenge. And also tomorrow after Day 12, we'll be having a live question and answer class. So you can come to that. You can bring your questions from these first 12 days of the accent challenge or any other questions you have about American accent training. Tell me about things that are difficult for you, things you'd like specific help with, and we'll do that in that class Friday, live question and answer. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and you'll be notified when we go live and when I upload a new video. And as always, I welcome your questions and comments on this video or any of my videos. It gives me ideas for what you need and for what videos I can create for you. So that's it for today. I'm Christine Dunbar from SpeechModification.com. Remember, if you want to sound American, you can do it. SpeechModification.com.